people think that they're big, complicated problems, the solution to those big, complicated problems has to be equally as big and complicated. And I'm here to say definitively no. 96% of the time, it's the exact opposite. It's the words. It's a simple answer to the big, complicated problems. And a lot of times, it's the words.
Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter. I've got my favorite guest on, who is actually, this is his third time on the history of the podcast, which has been through some name changes and everything too. But this is his third time coming on. His name is Mark England, and he is co-founder of Enlifted.me. That's Enlifted, ENLIFTED.me. And so I haven't had anybody on three times before. And it's just what he does is so powerful. Yeah, that award goes to you.
Thank you.
But what he does is so powerful. And the cool thing is, too, is you guys know by now that we have our event coming up. We've got our Gym Profits event coming up November 14th and 15th in Scottsdale. And early bird tickets will be released any day now for you. We will be maxing capacity, definitely. But Mark is coming on and speaking on stage at here as well. And so I wanted to get you guys a chance to know who he is. And I mean, he's a really good, just going to see him alone will be worth coming. And what he does, he runs he's co-founder of Enlifted, right? And he's a mindset coach. And that's an easy, ethereal thing to just roll your eyes at. We all know mindset. We all know as business owners, first off, as entrepreneurs, we know mindset is everything. But it's so, how do you even define it? How do you control it? I have some skill sets on that, but then others I just feel I don't know. And I know everybody out there on the internet wants to be a quote unquote mindset coach and this and that and the other. And we hear that word everywhere, overused in many ways, right? And just people talking in general. But I'm here to tell you that Mark, the reason why he's on three times is he really has this stuff down. And I know many people that have worked with Mark and have just completely changed their lives. And I'm big on this stuff. So you guys know I'm kind of known for helping you bolt on high ticket programs into your gyms. And these high ticket programs are more than just nutrition coaching, right? It's changing somebody's habits, which is really hard because you've got to peel back layers of the onion, get to the real root of the why, the real big bleeding neck issue, right? And you've got to help change their identity and who they are. That problem is worth a few $1,000s to solve. But the crux of that is mindset. You've got to get into that and start working with that. And Mark's program is just so good at that. And he's such an expert in this. And I've known many people that he's worked with and done phenomenal work with. And he also certifies other coaches to learn how to do this. And so he's the best in the field that I personally know, which is why, Mark, welcome to the show for a third time.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Appreciate that, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you come out to Scottsdale. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And as we were talking before we started recording, I love it when stuff is just easy and smooth and fluid and organic, like this exact scenario that we're in right now. So I messaged Scott a month ago and just said thank you for sending us some very cool clients over the years and being very, supportive of our work. And he messaged back and said, you're very welcome. And by the way, interesting timing because we got this thing in Scottsdale that you could come and speak at. And I said, send me more information. And I looked at it, looked great to me, and I've got a couple of business partners, so I sent it over to them, and they go, looks great to us. What's the next step? One of you all talk to him. Adam raised his hand. Adam gets on a phone call with Scott, messages Kim and I right after and said, oh, this is perfect. And now we're booked, and now we're doing this podcast. So it doesn't get any easier than that, folks.
Yeah. It's just great and smooth and easy, and it just fits. It's kind of peanut butter and jelly with kind of what I'm passionate about and what I teach gym owners how to do, and also then you teaching how to just be so good in that field. And so you just want to listen to Mark's stuff, regardless if you're looking for personal development in your own life and overcoming trauma or being more motivated, whatever it is, or if you're helping your clients do the same thing. This is going to be very valuable for you. So, and I think one thing, and I repeat this a lot, I credit you for sure, but when we talk about mindset, we all kind of simultaneously get what it is and not get what it is. And I think you've had the best definition I've ever heard.
Thank you.
So yeah, what do you describe as mindset?
The Enlifted definition of mindset is the story that we tell ourselves. That is what our mindset is. It is a story that we tell ourselves. Your clients have a mindset, and it is a story, and they're telling themselves the story. And it goes in all different kinds of directions. Your clients, we can take out our clients, put in you. We can take out you, put in me. We'll focus on clients. Your clients are telling themselves a story about their body. Your clients are telling themselves a story about their finances. Their clients are telling themselves a story about the government. Your clients are telling themselves a story about what they can do, what they can't do, what is possible, what isn't possible, what they do deserve, what they don't deserve. And that story, bet the farm, is in their head, and it's going really fast. We'll pick up on that later. And not only is that story in their head and going really fast, that story is made of words. And if you want to help someone change and improve the story that they're telling themselves, then you're going to inevitably get down to the word level and make some changes there. Now, I didn't see it as a superpower back in the day when I was in special ed classes, because I'm a relatively slower kind of person. It's translated quite nicely to this field. One of our calling cards, if not our main calling card, is the simplicity that we keep the conversation of mindset at. Because as you said, and you're 1,000% right, completely over the target, everybody is problem aware of mindset. Mindset is huge. I'm really big on mindset, or mindset is everything. Facts, great. What is it? You all, everybody listen, y'all want a very interesting thought exploration or exercise, a better way to say it. Go out and ask 5 people, or three. Three's enough. You'll get the intel. Go ask 3 people, whether they're a professional coach or they listen to a lot of podcasts that are really big on mindset. Hey, what's mindset? Ask them, what's mindset? And then just stop, pause, listen, watch. Very likely they're going to stumble a little bit, or maybe a lot, or they're going to have a big picture philosophical answer that takes a while to explain, that's really hard to implement when life throws you a curveball, okay? Or when your day-to-day ordinary language is secretly working against you. Because most people's day-to-day ordinary language is secretly working against them. You can file everything that we have or that we talk about in the conversation of mindset under very important stuff that you didn't learn in high school. You didn't learn, or at least I didn't. I didn't learn, and I ask a lot of people. This is my 458th podcast that I've been on. I've been doing one thing for the full time for the past 18 years, which is studying, researching, presenting, and coaching on the power of words and stories. It's my lane. It's my thing. And I've asked a lot of people, hey, did you ever have any classes in high school English class about how to use your words, which is what your mindset, which is the story you tell you, it's what your mindset's made of, Do you
Yeah.
have any classes on how to use your words to stay focused on what's important? Keep the drama low, build yourself up in your imagination, create feelings of confidence and competence, uh, uh, um, get a lot of the excess tension and tightness out of the body, and while we're at it, unlock the breath. Because all of those things that I just mentioned right there, promise, happen for people when they get their language working for them. Another way of saying that is start dismantling the dreaded victim mentality, which is part of the the trifecta of doom when it comes to mindset. We'll get into that in a second. Let's just say it now, and then we'll get into it more. What's the trifecta of doom? Glad you asked, everybody. It's a telephobia. Write this down. If you got a pen and a paper, okay, so here's the teacher in me coming out. So I came up in the public school system. I've only had 2 real jobs. This one, and then I was an elementary school PE teacher for 5 years. I've got a degree in education, and so I'm a teacher to the core. These three numbers, 30, 50, 80. It's the learning pyramid. 30, 50, 80. We remember 30% of what we hear, 50% of what we write, and 80% of what we turn around, teach, share, or explain. So for all you note takers out there, pick up the pen. You'll get a 20% return on investment for your time listening to Scott and I. The trifecta of doom for your mindset. A telephobia, the fear of not being good enough. That's what that is. That's what that's called. It's got a name. There's that. Then there's the imposter syndrome, and then the victim mentality, which I've been talking about verbatim by definition for 10 years full time now. You put those 3 things together and you've got a mighty opponent. If you go about it trying to battle those things from a big picture, big philosophical, just got to grind it out perspective, it gets a lot easier, everybody. And I love making things, well, let's take out simple. Let's take out easier and put in simple, because that's more accurate. It gets a whole lot simpler when you get down to what words are forcing us to create the victim dynamic. What words are we using to talk ourselves out of things that are important to us? What words are we using to force ourselves to compare ourselves to other coaches that make them bigger and better than us, and then the comparison hell and all that stuff? What words are we using? And then, because a lot of, I know I'm ranting, a lot of the time people think that they're big, complicated problems, the solution to those big, complicated problems has to be equally as big and complicated. And I'm here to say definitively no. 96% of the time, it's the exact opposite. It's the words. It's a simple answer to the big, complicated problems. And a lot of times, it's the words. It's the words.
I catch myself.
Me too.
I catch myself saying things to myself I shouldn't, and discouraging. And like, I'm just like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. Right. It's all this doubt I'm filling myself with, or just saying so it's just tough because these things they come up. You have to kind of train your brain to recognize that, right?
1,000%. And the key word there, Scott, you're a total pro. You catch yourself doing it. Mm-hmm. Everything, it doesn't matter what skill you're developing, everything starts with awareness. And so when we build the awareness of, wait a minute, what story am I telling myself about this thing? Why is my breath getting tight in my chest? Why are my traps getting all tight and my jaw clenching up? And right, I'm talking myself into a position of I'm convincing myself I don't have choices here, which is one of the hallmark calling cards of the victim mentality.
Yeah.
That's one of the I'm going to say that twice because that's so important, everybody. One of the calling cards of the victim mentality, and I'll give it to you by definition here in a sec, is little to no choice. You're a victim of circumstance, is what it is. Nothing you can do about it. And most people's language is secretly tricking them into being an NPC in their own life, a spectator in the stands. That's existentially terrifying. And when you learn how to play the game of mindset, I'll give us a pat on the back. Here at Enlifted, we've simplified the conversation about mindset, and we've also gamified it. So people can start going, oh, wait a minute. oh, I'm saying this to myself. How could I say that different? How could I say that different and better? Maybe I should enroll in one of Scott's classes. And it just feels soft. You know why? Because you got a maybe and a should in there. And you're like, oh yeah, soft talk, I remember. And then you take out the maybe. I should enroll in one of Scott's classes. Huh, should. Yeah, oh, I remember the should detox. I remember the should detox. Take out should, put in could. I could. Yeah, I could. You know what? I could. I totally could. I can. And so that's how you start talking yourself, because most people have a third-degree black belt. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Most people have a third-degree black belt in talking themselves out of shit. We help people talk themselves into stuff and turn mountains into molehills and focus their attention on things that would make them like themselves more, as in going after things that are important. And if you keep doing that from time to time, life gets better and your breath unlocks. It's really hard to, that's also one of the calling cards of the victim mentality is chronic chest breathing, breath trapped in the chest. And we get down to the words and breath level when it comes to the story that we're telling ourselves. Is this a good time for me to put the definition of the victim mentality in the conversation?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, cool. Because the last word is important when it comes to breathing. Okay, everybody. So I'm going to recite the definition of the victim mentality 2 times. I'm going to do it slow first time, and then I'm going to speed it up and put some polish on it, put some context on it. And I highly suggest writing this definition down, because most people, their understanding of the victim mentality, it goes about as far as, and it's good. It's good. Let's go further. They're playing the victim, or that person has a victim mentality. That's as far as they take the conversation. And in my personal and professional opinion, it is super valuable when we want to have a well-rounded conversation about mindset, the story we tell ourselves, to have the verbatim definition of the victim mentality in there, because that's where most people get into the conversation about mindset. Most people do not hire a mindset coach or work on their mindset when the sun is out and everything is going well. It's the entry point, really, because they're struggling somewhere. They're stuck. They need some help. They need some assistance. So they pick up a personal development book, listen to one of your podcasts, hire a mindset coach because they need some assistance. And then you start scratching the surface of the story that they're going to tell you about what the problem is. And you're going to get the victim. You're going to get the victim mentality in all of its flavors. It's got more flavors than Baskin Robbins. And so most people have never heard the definition of the victim mentality, much less written it down. So if you write it down, everybody, you're putting yourself in a very
writing it down right now. I've got my notepad open on the computer.
My man. Here it is twice, everybody. First time slow. The victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. The victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. That's slow. Here's a little faster with some polish. The victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends, it's a tendency, everybody. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. A person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. The victim mentality depends, underline that word, on a habitual, circle that word, thought process and attributions. That second sentence is right between the eyes, right where it belongs. The victim mentality depends, as in it has to have a habitual, which accurately implies duration and addiction. Thought process, what's a thought process? Again, glad you asked. It's how you put your words together. That's all that is. Everybody's got one. And then on a habitual thought process and attributions. What's an attribution? It's a characteristic. And after the words, the most important characteristic that we pay attention to when we're helping people improve the story that they tell themselves is their breathing. Their breathing. So another calling card of the victim mentality is chronic chest breathing. Most people are breathing in their chest. And it's a story issue. It's a language issue. It's an education issue. And it's also an inheritance. If you want to get accurate and zoom out a little bit, and there's a weirdness to it, like a cool weirdness. Take out the like. Our language is an inheritance. We inherit our words from the people that we grew up around. We inherit, you sound just like your father. There's some truth to that. And so learning to, most people's parents were not thinking about their thinking. I'm going to say it again. Most people's parents, mine weren't thinking about their thinking, and you don't learn this stuff in school. So what is this? No. This is a new endeavor into a beautiful, what a wonderful skill set to develop is to be able to think about your thinking. We're very Alan Watts right now, everybody, who in my opinion is the West's he's the greatest Zen teacher to ever live. He's the greatest Zen teacher for the West that we're ever going to have. And he said, when you learn to think about your thinking, you become alive in a new way. Another way of saying that is paying attention to the words you use. And my God, is it a deep dive, could be one of the deepest, into self-discovery and self-exploration. It
is. And, I'm not perfect with everything, right? Nobody is.
Likewise.
But when this is my journal right here, right? And when I'm going through some periods of stress and this and that, that's how I slow it down. And like one of the first things I just write is I need to slow down, breathe. And I'm writing those out. And that does have that calming effect. And then I just, I'm getting the thoughts a little bit of the thoughts onto paper. It might not even make sense to anybody else, but it just, I just got to get it out. And I remember that. I forgot to credit you with that, but I remember also something that you said before is we need to think about our thinking and just slow it down, because this is such a subconscious thing. You're talking to yourself all day long in your head, but we're just not aware of what we're telling ourselves. And so it's the process of slowing down and breathing, getting out of our chests, right? Breathing and thinking about our thinking.
Everybody rewind what he just said. Listen to that again. It's such a subconscious process. It's such a chronic, as in it's just relentless. Most people start hearing the voice in their head before they open their eyeballs when they wake up. That's how they know they're awake. The story starts.
When I am really stressed about certain things too, it could be a personal family thing, it could be a business thing. I'm like almost, when you're in the morning, you're quasi awake, but quasi dreaming kind of thing. And that's like, I'm processing those stories in my head even before I fully understand I'm awake. And then you start to, it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm like clenching my teeth, right?
Yes. I used to own unpuckered.com. I was true story. I was the first person on the planet to own unpuckered.com. And because guess what? Breath trapped in the chest equals more than just breath trapped in the chest. It's a stress response, everybody. Breath trapped in the chest equals tight traps. Breath trapped in the chest equals clenched jaw. Breath trapped in the chest equals tight traps, clenched jaw, puckered butthole. And when you get into the words of the victim mentality and start unraveling that, all kinds of stuff loosens up in the right ways. Here's a fun fact, and then we'll get back to how fast the story goes, because you touched on it with you just got to get the stuff out of your head. Okay, very important point to make. The second and third most commonly purchased over-the-counter medications are indigestion medication and constipation medication. And me, as a not doctor, is convinced that that's because of a majority of that is because of how we go about storytelling. Stories kept in the head goes real fast, traps the breath, and when the breath is trapped in the chest, digestion don't work too good, and neither does elimination. And I was working with So once upon a time, everybody, and shout out to functional fitness, shout out to CrossFit. Um, I might have touched on this on the previous shows, and it's quick and it's a fun little history lesson or story, go down story lane for me for sure. I took some CrossFit classes in 2015, and I looked at what was going on, and I'm like, man, these people are cool. They've got um, they got work ethics. They're adventurous because I didn't learn how to do any of these Olympic lifts in PE in high school. They're pack animals. Okay.
Hmm.
They got each other's back, and they're problem aware with mindset. They know it's something they need to quote unquote work on. And I said, man, if we could get, I told my business partner, if we could get this in front of CrossFit somehow, like nobody, we didn't have any social presence, nothing. I'll save that story for another day if you want to hear it, how we got on Barbell Shrugged in 2017. We got on Barbell Shrugged in 2017. And when that show dropped, we got introduced to the functional fitness space through the best mouthpiece in the time that I was aware of, being an outsider. And man, oh man, did everything change. And this one woman, Pascal, she purchased one of our online courses in a coaching package because she had a competition coming up and she wanted some help getting her story focused so she could go in and perform the way she wanted to, which we did in 3 sessions. I was selling 6-pack coaching sessions. And so she goes and does the competition and knocks it out of the park and comes back and I go, and she tells me what happened. I said, phenomenal. You have 3 sessions left with me. What do you want to work on? And she goes, this might be a little bit much for you. And I'm just thinking to myself, try me. And she goes, I only poop once a week. And I go, I just thinking to myself, I was like, I'd like some help with that too. If I doo-dooed only once a week, and I've done that, I've done that once. I ate a bunch of, when I used to live in Thailand, and I ate a whole pile of these little ladyfinger bananas, and I didn't shit for 5 days. I thought I was going to die. I wanted to murder everybody. And so, yeah, and that's been a chronic problem for her for a long time. So we got into the story of this pattern, and guess what happened, everybody, when she started getting into the outer layer of the onion, which was the only pooping once a week, feelings and emotions started to come up, because that's what happens when you go into people's stories. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we trace those emotions and feelings back to when she was a little girl and she was in Lebanon during one of the wars, and they were dropping bombs everywhere, and they had to hide in the basement for 2 weeks. And it was limited food and water, and everybody was scared out of their mind because they thought a bomb was going to fall on their house because it was falling on other neighbors' houses. And if it did, unlucky you're done. And so we went into that story and got it out of her head, because that's where people keep their scary stories. Got it out of her head and aired it out. And I mean, I'm still in contact with her. We're friends. She actually helped us get on Chasing Excellence. She's a 3 or 4 time a week girl now. That's a big improvement.
That's a big improvement.
I'm not a math guy. What is that? 300-400% improvement? In doo-dooing? Yep. You help someone doo-doo 400% better. I hope you like referrals and repeat business. Yeah. So, that's stories, everybody. They're kept in the head. Your clients keep their scary stories in their head. And the most outer layer of the onion is usually the problem that they bring to you. I'm just being really inconsistent these days. Or, I have, because guess what? Other things in people's lives influence their ability to make progress with their physical fitness and health goals. Yeah, I'm under a lot of pressure at work. I every time I get into these meetings with some of these higher ups, I just clench up and I feel like, why am I even here? And I just feel like they're secretly judging me and all this. That's coming from somewhere. And a lot of times, if you know the questions, you can get back to those stories and help them get them out of their head. Because like what Scott said, I just need to slow this thing down. So think about this, everybody. And this is very true. There are 3, now hieroglyphs, if you were chiseling shit into rock, it would be slower than writing. But there are 3 speeds of storytelling. Stories in the head go the fastest. I'm going to say this twice. Stories in the head go the fastest. Stories that we speak, that's the middle speed. and stories that are written go the slowest. One more time. Stories in the head go the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Stories that we speak, that's the middle speed, and that can go very fast, by the way. And then writing is the slowest form of storytelling that we have. And think of this as a mechanical issue, because a lot of it is. It's an education issue. It's a mechanical issue. It's definitely not an intellectual. Everybody can understand this. The faster the story goes, the harder it is to change. The faster the story goes, the harder it is to change. I assume that everybody listening to this podcast who works with people has encountered a client with what we call machine gun mouth, which is they're just talking super fast. Scott, how many people of those, how many times have you interacted with someone like that?
Oh, quite often.
Quite often. And how easy is it for them to hear what you're saying?
They don't, they're
He,
the hardest people to reach. Absolutely.
and it's and here's it's hopeful and it's also sad at the same time. And it's not because they don't want to hear you. It's because they can't. Here's why. The
Mm-hmm.
faster the story goes, the tighter and higher the breath is. And I'm going to sound smart for a second. That high and tight breath, also known as a stress response or sympathetic nervous system response or amygdala hijack. When someone goes into amygdala hijack, all kinds of mechanical things happen. They focus in on something. They get very myopic on, and it's usually on a problem. Okay? So they lose their peripheral
Mm-hmm.
vision. They get really close in on the problem, or another way of saying it, the problem gets really zoomed in and big in their face. Okay? Their listening skills tank. The tighter the breath, the less people are able to listen. Okay? And from there, nothing gets better. So if the faster the story goes, and let me rant on this angle too. We've all experienced this in another way. Same mechanism, just another way. We've all run wind sprints. We've all run as fast as we can. When we run as fast as we can, what happens to our vision? It zooms in, right? It zooms in and the peripheral gets, and we can't hear
Mm-hmm.
anything. Okay, we get very myopically focused. I said that twice. As opposed to going and taking a slow stroll. When someone goes on a slow walk, what happens? We zoom out.
Yeah.
Zoom out and we see things peripheral. Oh, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? Sprinting, breath trapped in the chest. Strolling, breath low and slow. So one of the things we help people do is learn about their words. And another thing that we help people do is pay more attention to their breathing and get their breath low and slow. It's coaching, so we certify coaches. Low and slow, that we say that a lot. Low and slow. And here's a good metric. Good breathing equals good coaching, because good breathing equals good listening, and good listening equals good coaching. So good breathing equals good coaching. Show me somebody who's aware of some of the words and who can ask questions. That's a big part too. Answers push, questions pull. Answers I tell them, questions they tell them. Answers Luke Skywalker. Questions Obi-Wan Kenobi. Good breathing, good questions, and helping them get the story out of their head and slow it down on paper. You've now got your hand on one of the most important levers when it comes to helping people change the story that they tell themselves, which is the rate of speech. Once the story is written down, you've got your hand on that lever. You've
Mm-hmm.
got your hand on that lever, and then you can slow it down. You can, not that you want to speed it up. Most of the time, you wouldn't want to do that, and you could if you wanted to. Slow it down and get the breath in there. Get the breath in there. I'll do this one last thing, and then I'll hand the mic back to you, and you'll know where to take it. So your client stories, they're the scary ones, and the good ones, by the way, because we can talk about celebrating wins, celebrating progress. I know I mentioned that when I filled out the form to come back on. Stories kept in the head, scary stories kept in the head, which is where they are 99.99% of the time, bet the farm. Stories kept in the head, breath trapped in the chest, picture is in your face. Wherever you go, there it is. Stories written down and aired out, okay, get the breath in there. As the breath descends, the picture zooms out. It's mechanical. And that's quite convenient because you don't need any inspirational quotes. You don't need them, dude. Yeah, right. You don't need
Yep.
Instagram. The coaching space in Instagram would collapse without people liking inspirational quotes. No inspirational quotes needed. No smarty pants coaching, which is I know all the right answers for all your problems coaching. That's what we call all the right answers coaches in Enlifted. Smarty pants coaching. I've done smarty pants coaching. It's extremely stressful and not effective for a variety of reasons. And so, yeah, when you know about the mechanic, it's like fixing somebody's back squat. There's a mechanics to it. How about macros? There's metrics to it. Same thing with the story. And then we'll come full circle on this thing. So where we started the conversation is about simplifying the conversation about mindset, simplifying it and making it easier to understand, making it easy to participate in, knowing what to do when your clients are majorly getting in their own way, because they do that, and they want some help. Oh, and by the way, we have a good time with this conversation too, because that's one of the byproducts of telling ourselves a better story about ourselves to ourselves. Things get better. Things get funnier. It's really hard to smile. Excuse me. It's really hard to smile and inevitably laugh when the breath is trapped in the chest. I know that. I lived that for many years.
Yeah, and this explains everything I just said about just writing in my journal, and just it's just all those things happen, right? And I remind myself, I'm writing to myself to remind myself to breathe. Then I take a minute, slow down, and it's what does happen. That vision is a really good metaphor.
Yep.
You get out of that one singular myopic thing, and you can see a bigger picture. You get out of your head. You get out of that problem, and then instantly I feel a sense of relief. Because the breath and doing that, and then you zoom out. And then instantly, without even using words at that point, or it probably does creep into my head then, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like the whole problem is just like, okay, that's like one small thing. But if you're zoomed in on it and completely focused on it, it's all encompassing and huge.
Yes.
But if you step back and do that, you're like, you know what? Nothing really bad's going on right now. It's okay.
I know cool is opinion, everybody, and I think that's just so cool. Being able to take a mountain and turn it into a molehill. People love those kind of people, And this has been Charlie Chaplin. He knew about this. He said life viewed under a microscope is a tragedy. Viewed from afar is a comedy. Life viewed under a microscope, breath trapped in the chest, super focused on the problem. Okay. Life viewed under a microscope is a tragedy. Viewed from afar is a comedy. A lot of the pain that I have caused myself in my life from a zoomed out perspective is quite funny. There's and then that makes everything better too, because most people, their favorite people, it's very rarely does someone say, I really want to introduce you to this person. They're one of my favorite people. They're really touchy. They're always on edge, and you can't say anything to them. No, people don't. No, it's the exact opposite. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to introduce you to this person. They're one of my favorite people. They're so easy to talk to. They laugh at themselves. Listen, we've all got plenty of shit to laugh at about ourselves. I know I do, and I do.
Oh yeah.
and people love that. It just getting over ourselves. There's a process of getting over ourselves. Or how about saying it another way? Not taking shit so personally. Well, that's another calling card of the victim mentality, taking things personally. And
definitely.
You know what? I'm about to say something. I don't care that there is it's a potentially politically hot topic. There are people out there that are promoting people's victim mentalities. There are people out of there that
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting that want people to be offended. That's their whole leverage and power base. They want people to inflame their victim mentality and take things personally and be microaggressed. I just went on a podcast called Macroaggressions. That was funny. Seriously, it's fun and funny and sincere and serious all at the same time. And that's a calling card of the victim mentality. And myself personally, I know how I want to live. I want to be hard to offend. Okay.
Yeah.
And look at the words, everybody. I take offense to that. Well, how about stop taking it? I don't want to take any
Yeah. Can you give
offense.
people an example? If you're like that offends me. I take offense to that. If they whether they say it out loud or just to themselves, right? What is one thing they could do to just change that story?
Well, well, there's a lot. First things first, you'd want to get your energy from a different. You want to run a different kind of fuel because some people love sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people love trauma bonding. Okay, think the gossip table. If someone's social circle is constructed around who's the most downtrodden and who's got the biggest problems and who's the most offended and who's the most chronically depressed and upset, then they're not going to want to stop taking offense. They're going to want to take more offense. And whoever's the most offended gets the most social credit. Okay, so first things first, identify that is a path to the bowels of hell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then from there you're like, okay, well, guess what? I don't negation acknowledge want to do that. Let me start looking at the words that I'm using that forces me. It's not helps. It forces me to take offense. How about this? You're in my way. You're in my way. If I how about take out you, because it's projection keyword, take out you, put in I. I'm in my way. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm thinking about my thinking. I'm in my way. Shit. I never said this was simple, everybody. Excuse me. I never said this path was easy. There's a simplicity to it. There's also a brutal ice bucket of water on your head at 3 a.m. in the morning, ruthless wake up call to it, which I personally love because I've got sick sense of humor. Wait a minute. I'm in my way. Huh. Damn it. I'm in my way again. I mean, come on, everybody. Who gets in our way more than us? You're wasting my time. You are wasting my time. 2 + 2 = 4. You, so the person is in the picture,
Right.
wasting my time. I'm in the picture, so they're the villain. I'm the victim. They're doing something to me. I got to wait for them to stop in my imagination before I can let go of this thing. Welcome to another level of hell. No, wait a minute. I'm wasting my time. Again, who wastes our time? Who wastes more of our time more than us? Let's get a little more hardcore about it. I was working with this woman semi-recently, and she started the conversation off with, because it was about her relationships with men. And she said, I've had the same relationship with 5 different men. Tell me more. She did. We got into some of the specifics about those similarities. And as we got those specifics out of her head on paper and read, feelings and emotions came up. Par for the course. And then I asked the second set of magic questions. When was the first time you ever felt that chronic sense of rejection in your chest? Oh, that takes me back to when my parents sat me down at the dinner table and I was 7 and my little brother was 5 and they told me I was getting a divorce. They were getting a divorce. And I stayed with my mom and my dad left. I didn't see him for 2 years. And so we got into those stories. And then we found the Lord of the Rings spell. Webster's definition of a spell, not mine, everybody. A spell is a word or a combination of words of great influence. And because the words were out of her head, very hard to get to the most important sentences, spells, prison sentences, prison sentence, mental prison sentence. When all that stuff is in your head, because and again back to the 3 speeds of storytelling. Stories kept in the head, they're very disorganized, very little bits of words, flashes of pictures, and because the story is when we write, we get more detail. The devil is in the details. You heard that? We get more detail because the story is slowed down so much, and there's an organization to writing the English language or any language. One of the cool things about what we do is you can take out English, put in Turkish, take out Turkish, put in Thai, take out Thai, put in German, and it works on the mechanics of any language, but that's another story. So we got into some of the specifics about why her parents got a divorce and some of the physical violence that she saw, and the sentence that held the whole thing together was this. So we're still on the conversation of taking offense to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about it. This is about as not completely, and it's about as hardcore as you get, generally speaking. The sentence was, if, write this down, everybody. You want an experience? Write this down. This will pluck some of y'all in the nose. And you know what? Since you're listening to this podcast and Scott is who he is, I'm assuming that you're in it for some transformation. And if this plucks you in the nose, cool, let it happen. Here's the sentence. If my father loved us more, everything would have been different. I'm going to say it again. If my father loved us more, everything would have been different. That sentence forced her to create the victim-villain mentality, victim-villain dynamic, keep herself in a massively upregulated stress response, form the lens that she saw all men through, also known as her reticular activating system. There's a big word for you. And so when she entered into all of those 5 similar relationships with 5 different men, she saw the same kind of person, which was a version of her father. Sound fun? And so we looked at that sentence. We did more than look at it. We did look at it because she wrote it down, and then you can look at it. Then you can look at your thinking. Get the words out and look at your thinking. Journaling's awesome. And if we get the words out and we're like, yeah, here's the proof that I was so wronged and all these problems. No. That's just the rough draft. Just like any draft in high school, you want to learn to play with the words. Just getting the words out of your head, that's where the thing starts to slow down and you get some perspective. And then you can go, wait a minute, look at, oh yeah, there's those projection keywords. If my father loved us more, everything would have been different. I had her scratch out the word us and put in the word himself. Like a brick to the face, for all the right reasons. It was a brief look of it was a combination of astonishment and understanding, and then massive emotional release, because she just took her and her brother and her mother out of the picture, and it was just her dad and her dad. If my father had loved himself more, everything would have been different. And then we kept going because we think about our thinking. Here at Enlifted, we focus on words. Everything. Take out everything and put in he. If my father had loved us more, if my father had loved himself more, he would have been different. I mean, the world's flat versus the world's round. If my father had loved us more, everything would have been different. And just the word everything is so wild there. Everything would have been different. My life would have been better. I wouldn't have had any problems.
That's not correct, right?
Exactly.
That's not correct. And if he loved us more, again, it's painting yourself in the victim mentality. And just changing 2 words. Dude. So if you guys didn't catch that, if my father loved us more, everything would have been different, right? Versus changing that story after writing it down and looking at it. If my father loved himself more, he would have been different. That's just a matter of fact. Like that just changes, 2 words changes everything. But this is what I was getting at the beginning of the podcast, guys. Mindset is the story that you tell yourself. And we have these things consciously or largely subconsciously that we tell ourselves every day, every week, every month, for years and years and years and decades. And some of those stories are not serving us. Some of those stories are untrue. Some of those stories make us a victim when we aren't a victim. And if you can just slow it down and breathe and write it down and take a look at that writing, because that writing is your thinking, and dissect it and change that into a story that serves you rather than holds you back, your entire life can change.
Facts, everybody.
And
Facts.
that's why like what Mark does is so powerful and it's so important. And whether you're doing this for you or you're doing this to help the people that you work with, this is a life skill that you don't learn anywhere. And we all know, like I said, we all know mindset is utmost importance. We know it, but we, how do you get the skills? Like sometimes we're on it and sometimes we're not, right? When things are going great, things are going great. Yeah, it's all about mindset, right? When things are going shitty, oh, I can't do this. I suck at this. I don't know how to do that. I'm not sure where to go. I don't even know. Imposter syndrome creeps in. I don't know if I can do this. I'm not sure I'm good enough, right? And it's easy to talk a big game when we're on top of our game, but it's life. It doesn't stay there. And so these kind of tools are so important.
Agreed. And you're a super pro coach, Scott. What do you think? And very smart guy. What do you think would have happened? I'll put this out. I'll put this question out to the audience too. What do you think it would have happened if she'd have come in and said, "Hey, I need some help with my relationship. I've had the same relationship with 5 different guys, and let's pretend I was a smarty pants coach, and I just said, you just need to have better boundaries. You just need to respect yourself more." What do you think would have happened there versus what we got to do with her?
Oh my God. It would have probably made that worse.
Agreed.
Because then she's going to look through everything and the lens is you're violating my boundaries. You this, you that. That's what happens a lot, right?
And then she'll call all those dudes narcissists.
Yes. Call them narcissists. Absolutely.
I said it. Mm.
Yep. But no, you're 1000% spot on. And I've been doing a lot of kind of reading recently over just like high conflict personalities and borderline like this is all that's legit. That's exactly what's going to happen. And if you read, who was it? It was Bill something who kind of coined the high conflict personality things like 20 or 30 years ago or something. But a lot of what you're describing is that. And whether you're, it's just a set of behaviors. It's not a diagnosis, but it is not taking personal responsibility for everything. It's very black and white, right? It's you're all or nothing with other people, and they're the source of your problems. They're either 100% with you or they're the source of your problem.
Yep.
It's a failure to resolve any issues. You don't, it's you resist resolving issues. And no issues are unresolved. And so as people are very uncooperative to try and like discuss something and get over it and apologize and move on, they'll never move on. They won't do it. Dude. And then ironically, they blame the other people for being those behavior types and stuff like that. They blame the other person of being a narcissist, of doing those things. And it's so aggravating, right?
Bro, I'm going to hit you up for those books. Yeah, because that's I've never heard that before. High conflict personality. Yeah, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll send you the stuff. I gotta look. I don't know why it's not coming up in my head right now. But HCP, like if you'll find the guy. It's a short word. Bill. It's not Bill Gates, but it's Bill something short, right? And HCP, high conflict personalities, and yeah, I mean they're everywhere, right? And it's just victim mentality, and it's all these things, and it's probably, I'm sure some stuff can be genetic, but probably a lot is childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Things that happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's good news, everybody. That's such good news. Yes, there's some sting involved. In picking up the pen that will almost inevitably feel like a 600-pound deadlift. It's just a pen, even though it feels super heavy. And going and getting those scary stories and airing them out, getting them out of your head. Yeah, there's some sting involved in that, but that's way easier than waiting for all the narcissists in the world to stop being narcissists so I can finally relax and enjoy my life.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Dude, yeah.
This is good, man. I love talking about this because I find it so fascinating.
Likewise.
And we can always learn from these conversations, learn so much from these conversations. And sometimes like here's the thing with mindset is like you need to hear things again, right?
Likewise. Yes.
You
Yes.
do, I do, and I need to remind my. It's funny because even the advice I give or working with somebody, right? Sometimes I'm working with them and I present something. I'm like, damn, I needed to hear that myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is, or like something you say, I'm like, yeah, I should have been telling myself that, right? Or I need to do this. It's just, it's an everyday thing. And when things are going good, we tend not to practice this stuff until things go bad, right? And then we're like, oh shit, I need to reconnect with this.
It's very similar to having a physical fitness practice. There's getting in shape
Right.
and there's staying in shape. Okay.
Yes. And
Same.
that's why when you were talking, I wrote down this question because I wanted to make sure in case 20 minutes later I forget. It's exactly that. So I find even with myself, right? When things are going really well, I can get detached from some of the mindset work that I do and all that kind of stuff. And obviously when things are going south, they gravitate towards. But is there a certain kind of daily or weekly practice? And what I love about your stuff, it is simple. And I know it probably doesn't seem simple to all the listeners because we've talked about a million things already. But simple is the only thing that you can really keep doing. When
Correct.
things are it's too much, right? And so you really simplify the art and the practice of changing your mindset, which is really good. But what is one like daily or weekly or as needed practice that's simple that you found that really helps kind of it's helping you get in the reps, whether you need them or not? What's like one thing that you could share?
Yeah, it's soft talk. It's soft talk. Here we get Dr. Broken Record over here. Soft talk. Soft talk, everybody, is the gateway drug to the rest of the words. It's a way for you to practice using your words differently and having an immediate response that you'll feel and see and hear. Okay, and it's the easiest place to start because one, people use a lot people use a lot of soft talk, and then all you got to do is raise your. Oh, by the way, everybody, there's a shitload of soft talk in your client's language, and you can turn around and use this with your clients this afternoon, tomorrow, next weekend, 5 years from now, because this problem and opportunity ain't going anywhere for a while. Okay, all good. That's one of the reasons I'm settled in to a long winter's nap with this work. Um, so this is something that you can do, and it's something that you can do with your clients and watch the abracadabra happen. I said that on purpose. Watch the abracadabra happen. So what's when most people hear the word abracadabra, they think magic. Good. And it's even cooler than that. You can look this up. Abracadabra is Aramaic. It's which is an ancient and living language. And abracadabra translates to with my word I create or with my word I influence. And the practitioners of transformational wordsmithing, because that's what we're talking about. If you're helping someone change the story they tell themselves, you're a transformational wordsmith. They would triangulate abracadabra and wear it around their neck to remind them of the power and the mechanism of the spoken word and thought and written word, the word, because they knew if they got it wrong, they were going to have all kinds of problems till the end of their days. And if they got it more righter, as in helping them use their words, like I said earlier, to stay focused on what's important, keep the drama low and the breathing and all that good stuff, then what couldn't they do? Especially when you team up with people that are thinking about their thinking. So soft talk. I got a soft talk. I didn't know he was going to ask that. And I travel with soft talk keyword sheets.
And so by soft talk, you mean when you're talking to yourself? There we go, right there. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep. I probably should do this, or I guess I could do that, or maybe I might have the ability to do this, right? Stuff like that you're talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Because all you got to do is pluck out that maybe. Maybe I could do this. I could do this. Huh? Yeah, I could. I can.
I can do this.
It's almost like I'm drinking too much coffee. Take out the almost like I'm drinking too much coffee. Fuck. I think I should spend some more time with my wife. Take out the think. Like I said, simple, not easy. Because going from I think I should.
It's funny how many layers we have
Oh,
on it though.
dude.
I think I should. There's two in there. There's the
Yep.
think and there's the should.
Yep. Here's the practice with this, everybody. And Scott, if you'll read these words off one at a time in a second, everybody get a pen and a clean sheet of paper, and I want you to write. You'll okay. I'm going to say it. You'll get more out of this exercise if you do this than 99% of self-help books you'll ever read in your life. So what the exercise is, super simple. Get a clean sheet of paper, and Scott's going to read these words off. I want you to write each one of these words 5 times larger in all caps than you normally write. What's that going to do? It's going to get the attention. Your reticular activating system is going to go, hey, why am I writing these words 5 times larger? And then it's also going to go, don't worry about it. Just pay more attention to it and stick it up somewhere where you're going to see it for 30 days. Next to your computer, bathroom mirror, or refrigerator are all slam dunks, and leave it there for 30 days and watch what happens. Your awareness is going to raise, and you're going to start hearing this stuff in other people's language, and you're going to start seeing it in your emails, in your texts, and you're going to start pulling it out, and you're going to like what happens. And then finally you're going to start hearing yourself say it because it goes out to in. And then you got a legit good way of practicing telling yourself a better story, also known as working on your mindset. No 40 podcasts a week at 3x speed necessary. Because most people think mindset is 2 scoops of C4 pre-workout in the middle of a pump. And that's when you're all jacked and like you're really focused and everything's all good, and then or goal setting and shit talking and some inspirational quotes off Instagram. There's so much more to the story that we tell ourselves than that. Okay. And I like pre-workouts. I used to take a lot of Ultimate Orange back in the day. Remember that? Remember Ultimate Orange?
Ultimate Orange, NO explode.
Dude, Rip Fuel. When I bring up some of the old stuff, and whoever gets it, I'm like, yeah, it's my people. Anyway, enough about me. Go ahead and read each one of these words out, Scott, please, and everybody.
These are good.
Write
and
them
by
down.
the way, guys, I'm gonna be writing these down and printing these out and putting them on my whiteboards here. Here are the soft talk words: probably, perhaps, feels like, guess, maybe, could, might, possibly, sort of, kind of, potentially, hopefully, try, one day, should, almost like. How many of those do we use on a daily basis?
It's gonna blow your mind, everybody. Your mind will be blown. Your mind will be blown, and you will be thrilled that you have an alt. It doesn't get more practical than the words that you use. Way to work on and improve your mindset, which is the story that you tell yourself. And if you do this exercise, everybody, take a picture of it, put it on social media, put it on Instagram, tag me, please, at Enlifted Coaches, and I will reshare it.
That's awesome. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, mindset can be like this ethereal thing that we feel good about when things are going great in our life, or we read this one book and we're like in that mode for a week or 2 or 3, and then we go back to daily life. This is the practical stuff to really change your story and to be in control. And so that's why I love it, and I learn something every time I talk to you. And I'm so excited to have you on stage, in November out here in Scottsdale, and I've never met you in person yet.
Very true. Feels like we have. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking to bring the team out there, Adam and Kim, get an Airbnb. I got some good friends in Scottsdale. Travis Haley's out there. That's a whole other conversation. So that's going to be super fun.
It is. It is. It's going to be awesome. And another thing I want to let people know about as well is that, so you work, right, at Enlifted, you work with people who need to work on themselves, right? You coach them. But you also have a certification program where you're going to teach other people like me and other gym owners and whoever wants to learn how to do this and help people.
Yep.
You actually certify others and teach them how to work with others in this manner too.
Yep. That's our main business, is certifying coaches. And I'm the head coach at Enlifted. I deliver all of our trainings, all the level ones. They're all small batch, 10 people per certification, 9 weeks long. So everybody all the classes are live, taught by me. We do sessions. I do sessions with everybody in there. Also live, of course. And so it's small batch, which is very important. I'm in a lot of ways, I'm ignorant about what's going on in the coaching space and in the mindset space, because I'm just too busy doing what we're doing the way we're doing it. And we're in the badass coach making business. And in my personal and professional opinion, it's really hard to make badass coaches with 312 people on a self-paced course with a check-in with an assistant twice a week. That's not, in my that's not how the art, because this is an art, everybody. That's not how the practice, it's an art, it's a practice, it's a path. Transformational wordsmithing is a living tradition. It's not how the high levelness is taught. And that's as important to me as anything, because, it's a wonderful, I love the people I meet through this work. And it's a massive bonus that people benefit from this work, but it's not why I do this. It's not why I do this. I'm not here to help people. Okay. I love that people are helped. Okay. I'm here because the work fascinates me. There's something about helping someone change the story that they're telling themselves, change the words, and watching the transformation happen. It is endlessly fascinating to me. I fell in love with it on site 22 years ago. Turned pro 18 years ago. I'm going to do this for 50 years. And we bring that passion and love for the craft of this into it's the essence of what we do. We've got 3 cohorts coming up. 10 people each, 30 spots, that's it. 2 in the second half of September and 1 in the first week of October. We run level 1 certifications twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall. The fall classes are coming up. If you want to learn more about it, go to enlifted.me. Check out the site.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And like I said, guys, I highly recommend the program. It's pretty awesome. And it's just something that it's a life skill that everybody should have. And I think you can kind of see that just from this podcast. Like, even if you have no intent to be a coach like that, this will enrich your life. But that being said, for all my listeners out there, you're going to be putting this into practice, of course. So anyways, Mark, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure.
You only want to come on 3 times for sure. And I'm sure we'll do more. And can't wait to spend some time with you in person. It's going to be a blast. And everybody, we'll leave on the show notes where you can find Mark. And remember, enlifted.me as the website to check it all out. Thank you so much, guys. And here's the thing, share, subscribe. This is a good one to share with other people because you're going to get nuggets. This is just something, send to anybody to learn this kind of stuff. And let's be real. This is actually fun and fascinating. Business talk and everything with right. But stuff like this is just like, okay, this translates to every area of my life. So definitely share this with somebody else, right? That's how you can help the world, really. So Mark, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Scott. Thank you again very much. See you in November. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you next week. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.